Hello and welcome to Blythe Ray Business News. For this edition, I'm joined by Jaco Prinsloo, who is Chief Executive of Sylvania Platinum Limited. Sylvania listed on the AIM market in London with a market capitalisation of around £280 million sterling. The company operates a very low-cost production of platinum, palladium and rhodium in South Africa. Jaco, welcome on the show. First time here with us. Now, you've just announced your interim results. Can you please give us a quick sense of the highlights of the results?
Thank you, Tim, and thank you for the opportunity. It's good for us to always share the information with the shareholders. So if we look at the past half year, or the first half of our 2023 financial year, on which we are reporting interim results this week, we've had an excellent performance both on the production and financial front. We were fortunate to post our second highest half year performance in the history of the company, producing about 38,000 ounces, about 19% up on the corresponding period in the previous year. And then that was enabled primarily by a significant increase in our PGM feed tons and also our recovery efficiencies, which we are happy from the operational teams that they've been able to achieve it. This is despite a 15% decrease in the metal prices, so the PGM basket price retracted slightly for the corresponding period. But because of the strong production results, we've been able to post very strong financial figures. We've had a net revenue of about $80 million and a net profit of about $32 million, which was significant improvements, I think about 16% and 34% respectively, on the corresponding period in the previous year. Now, this financial performance, compared together with our strong production performance, enabled us to build our strong cash balance, and that in turn have enabled us to return value to our shareholders, as we have done consistently in recent years. I think a highlight in terms of that, and before I talk about what the dividend we declare the value is the board have also just published an updated dividend policy. I think it's something that our shareholders for a long time has asked for, better clarity and something more concrete to enable them to model dividends going forward. So the board took that on board, and we have declared a new policy. We will highlight the details, and in terms of that new policy, we've declared our first interim dividend of 3 pence in respect of this first half year, to be paid during April this coming financial year. So that's in a nutshell the highlights of our financial and production performance for this past year.
So one of those rarities on the AIM market, a mining company paying a dividend on a regular basis. So that's great, but looking to the future, how is the company going to continue to return value to its shareholders, let's say, over the next 6 months?
Yes, I think you mentioned the rarity, and we are very proud of us being able to declare dividend. This last year, our annual dividend was the 5th consecutive year of declaring annual dividends, and although I always caution people not to extrapolate the trend, we've been able to double it every year as the production, as the financial performance warranted. However, I've just mentioned to you that we have updated our dividend policy. So if we look forward in this next half of the year and also years to come, so we have declared and included in our new policy that Sylvania would declare a minimum of 40% of our adjusted free cash flow annually in terms of a dividend to shareholders. It might be higher if our cash position and the markets warrant, but we're saying at least a 40% in order for people to model. Saying that, then we will also do it in 2 tranches. So we would do a first tranche at our interim results, which is what we did, the 3 pence we've just announced. And that would typically be equivalent to about 1/3 of our estimated annual free cash flow for the adjusted free cash flow for the year, as we see it and forecast it at the time. And then we'll do a final annual dividend payment with our financial year end results, which would be approximately 2/3 of the balance of the 40% minimum free cash flow. So that the shareholders can expect a final dividend as well towards the end of the year. Besides just the dividend policy and expectations, the company will continue to explore opportunistic share buybacks, as we have done in the past, whenever the opportunity arises and the cash position warrant. So that's the other way of returning value to shareholders. I think these are the two direct measures which physically put the money in shareholders' pockets. We obviously continue with our exploration initiatives and also exploring growth opportunities to ensure there's a sustainable business for shareholders to invest in going forward.
Okay. Let's move away a little bit from the financial performance, thank you for explaining that, and congratulations on the dividend policy. Let's just look at some of the operational factors at Sylvania. You've previously faced difficulties with run of mine, and you've had some feed grades at the Western operations. What have you done to improve that?
Yes, the ROM feed grades in particular, so the biggest operation on our Western Limb is the Mooinooi operation. That's also the only operation on our Western Limb operations that have a run-of-mine feed associated with it, and which is very attractive for us because the run-of-mine historically came at very good feed grades and it's fresh material enabling higher recoveries. But since the hard lockdown of COVID in 2020, March, April 2020, and a subsequent drop in the chrome market and price environment, the host mines were necessitated to slow down their production. So what they've done at Mooinooi in particular is they stopped the underground mining, which historically had our higher grade feed material, and instead substituted the feed with various open cast sources. So it's something we wasn't used to at the time. And as we started getting those the open cast material in our feed grades dropped. So over the last 2 years, we've had significant work done in collaboration with the host mine of our technical teams to evaluate the various open cast sources they have available, to ensure we get the best possible grade and the best possible quality of feed into the operation. Now that have taken some time, but we have consistently since April last year seen an increase in the ROM feed grades, with it very stable during this first half year of the operation, and we continue to collaborate with the host mine and focus in this area. But I think it's largely been addressed and resolved at this stage.
Okay. Then you've also got this the MRE and scoping study that's ongoing to combine the Volsprit North and the South bodies. Can you give us an update on where you are with those, but then also what value is that going to bring?
Okay. I think first of all, maybe just the history of where we came. So we have the Meta Volsprit mining right granted for approximately 10 years already, and it's a project we own, and the mining rights are granted. The initial strategy of Volsprit was to build our own downstream smelting refining infrastructure, because that would enable us to treat a lower grade concentrate based on the original interpretation of the ore body. However, that at an acceptable risk and capital requirements for the project, which it doesn't align with our current strategy for the business. And we've enabled some optimization studies during the last 2 years to enable how best to generate value from these projects and optimize value for our shareholders. As a result of that, we then focused on the North Body only as a proof of concept first. The North Body only represents about 60% of the total ore reserves, estimated ore reserves at Volsprit. So we first started that. We've been able to successfully declare a mineral resource estimate on it, and we have successfully done a scoping study, and which returned about $27 million NPV on the project. But what is more important, at the conservative assumptions we used at the time, and using only the North Body, we realized the upside to the project. And you've mentioned the South Body. So the South Body at that stage wasn't at a JORC compliant exploration status at that point. And also what we haven't been able to exclude because of a limited data at the time was the rhodium component. And from our non-JORC compliant metallurgical data, we know there's about 5 to 6% rhodium associated with the project. So once you include another 40% in volume and the rhodium component, that could be between 37 and 44,000 ounces of rhodium over the life of the project. There's a significant upside to the project. So, and some of the analysts in London have forecasted it to be between 2 and 4 times the NPV that we've published, if we can unlock the value of this. The Northern Limb project in general, and Volsprit in particular, is of importance for the group because that enables us to have additional growth opportunity and future value for the company outside just the normal dump operations, which we continue to optimize and expand.
Sounds like you've got a lot going on at Sylvania, but investors are always greedy for news flow. So just to conclude, over the next 6 months, what should we be on the lookout for in terms of upcoming news flow coming out of Sylvania?
Okay. No, thank you. And I think, and I'll try to split it into different areas of our business. First of all, in terms of our existing dump operations, in line with our strategy and focus to always improve the production from our existing dump resources and operations, we are continuing to focus on the optimization of the Tweefontein MF2 circuit, the secondary milling flotation circuit we just commissioned in December. And also hand in hand with that is focusing on the execution of the Lennox MF2 circuit that is due to be commissioned early in the new financial year. So those two would focus on improving, further enhancing our recovery efficiencies on our operations and add additional ounces. Then still with dump operations, but looking more towards growth and expanding our footprint outside our existing host mines, we're continuing with negotiations and studies in terms of adding additional resources from third parties. We quite far advanced with our technical and commercial due diligence and negotiations in that regard. And we're hoping to conclude some of that during the next financial year, or towards the end of the financial year, if I can correct it, and which could add significant value and potential for the company going forward. And then last, what we've just touched on is our exploration projects arm, and I've mentioned Volspruit, where we're targeting an updated mineral resource estimate and scoping study, including then both north and south bodies, as well as the rhodium contributions, and that we are hoping to have towards July, August this year concluded. On our far northern limb projects, which consist of Hacra and Aurora, we are targeting to extend the strike of our near surface resources on the property. We have announced in October just the La Pucella portion and the very exciting T reef mineralization that we have discovered during these studies. That's a very attractive platinum reef in the area. So we've only evaluated about 12% of the resource historically, and we're looking to extend the work to include the remainder of the 14-kilometer strike length in that regard, to add it to the resource statement for Aurora. And on Hacra, which is our most northern operation, we're just looking there to increase the mineral resource estimate and be able to declare a maiden resource estimate on that project. And so those are the deliverables, I think, across the dump operations and exploration that the investors can look forward to in the next 6 months.
Well, that's going to keep you out of mischief, Jaco. So you must come back and keep us updated and tell us about the progress. That was Jaco Prinsloo, Chief Executive of Sylvania Platinum, updating us around the time of the interim results just now on financial performance, the dividend, and the activities going on at Sylvania's plant in South Africa. That's it for this edition of Blythe Business News. Thanks for watching.